Welcome everybody, this is your 25th health hack. So I just want to welcome you. Today what we're going to be discussing is your DNA and how your DNA, or rather your emotions, influences your DNA. So meaning the way that the thoughts and feelings that you have about your life, how that influences your DNA. And last week we kind of discussed choice, which was, a similar vein to like emotions and spirituality and things of that nature. But now we're going to be talking about physiology. And we're going to be discussing, well, the emotional thoughts we have, like, doc, does it have a DNA, does that change our DNA? Does it alter our physiology? And I've talked about this before, but I've never really given you some of the science behind what it does for the DNA. So one of our articles of the week this week is on the brain and the immunity. And that's how I kind of got inspired this week to discuss this, because, as people start to overcome emotional states and things that aren't working in their life and things that are destructive, there are all sorts of different neurotransmitters that are changed by those negative belief systems. So what we find is that it influences antibodies. It influences antigens in the body. It creates tumors where tumors aren't supposed to be. It creates nodules where we're not supposed to have nodules. It starts to mess with digestive function in the body. And we start to get things like gastric reflux or bloating or all these different things. And, when people start to say, oh, I've got a pain in my neck or I've got pains in my stomach, there's always an emotional component tied to that. And there's a doctor named Dr. Dave Warnowski, and pardon my pronunciation on that. It's a really long spelling, so I'm thinking Polish probably on Dave Warnowski, Dr. Dave Warnowski's. But Dave Warnowski spoke in 2011, and he did a conference on longevity. It was called the Longevity Now Conference, and he talked about telomere length. And what a telomere is it's the part of your DNA that is like your biological time clock. So it basically determines how much time you have left. And the reason I'm going into this around negative thoughts and emotions and kind of a destructive brain mindset or a negative brain mindset is because what this study showed is that researchers believe that processing rather than repressing difficult emotions like anger and fear leads to better and physical and psychological well-being. And processing better than repressing also expands your telomere length. And you want your telomere length to be longer, because if it's longer, you're going to live longer. If it's shorter, that's when we know our days are kind of numbered, right? And they can actually map this stuff out to like certain experiences that people have, right? Or certain traumas they have. Now there's actually research and studies that are done where they can kind of tell you how long your telomere length is, and they can actually map out how many different events in your life have shortened it and even to what degree. And I just find that fascinating and like mind-boggling that they can actually do that, right? Like pretty interesting stuff, way over our heads for this conversation I want to have with you today. Doesn't mean we couldn't figure it out, but it would definitely take more time than a 10-minute health hack, right? Researchers believe that supportive conversations that enable emotional expression are also helpful to increasing telomere length. Expressing your emotions is a way to change your thinking about a situation, right? And we kind of know that anyways. What we discussed last week briefly was around neuroplasticity. And we talked about a book by Dr. Caroline Leaf called Switch on Your Brain. And guys, I always say there's nothing new on the planet, but just for your moment, kind of where you are with your life right now, these are kind of tools in your toolbox to say, okay, what I'm doing that worked for me 3 months ago related to these emotional distresses I have and repressions I've created and blind spots I have in my life. What I was doing 3 months ago isn't necessarily serving me or working for me now, right? And so I need to do something different. And that's really what changes anyways, right? What worked for you 2 months ago, 3 months ago, doesn't necessarily mean it's going to work with you ongoing, and doesn't necessarily mean it's going to work with you right now. And so that's why we always need to be slipping and checking with what we're doing, meaning is what we're doing working right now? In every area of our life, but especially when it relates to what's going on with our emotional state and our emotional well-being. Being present in the moment rather than worrying about the future or being upset about the past can help your DNA to help your body live longer. I thought that was really cool because that's basically what we said last week, right? And now here's the research from a conference with a bunch of neurologists, and it basically says the same thing. It's saying that we can't operate in the past and expect to get a different outcome today. The past is only going to serve us in the way of creating more worry and more anxiety, which is going to shorten our telomere length and lead to less brain immunity and brain function. So this other article said that this means that your thoughts and feelings are signaling cells within the body's internal defense to turn on healthy genes to make better proteins or to turn off those healthy genes. So, and the beneficial chemicals and the way the body is able to regulate the different body chemistry within the body, right? It's not able to do that if there's a blockage up here, right? And when the blockage up here is occurring emotionally, that creates a blockage everywhere else. Creates those emotional subluxations. So one of the other videos that you could watch that really help you understand this would be any video or health hack you see on neuro-emotional technique. Okay? Some of my advanced healthcare classes, there's one that talks about stress and digestion. And it would kind of help you further understand this phenomenon. It says that anytime there are processes in our body that are negative, that are turning on these negative genes, that's going to create inflammation. It's going to create an imbalance in certain enzymes we're going to have or supposed to have. And also it's going to down-regulate our immune system. So as we think these negative thoughts and we shorten our telomere length, not only are we getting a destructive outcome long-term, but we're getting a destructive outcome short-term too. We're filling up this bucket, okay? So if you think about health as a bucket, the more chemical, physical, emotional stresses we get, if that bucket's not emptied, the more we put ourselves in harm's way. And so everybody thinks it's some, like mystery that all of us are getting kind of these new autoimmune conditions and we're getting sick more and there's more people on medications and all this stuff, and we all think it's some type of anomaly. But you kind of look around and look what's happening. People are overstressed. They're over-functioning beyond the capacity that our bodies were innately designed to, and we're constantly texting, and we're supposed to be turned on all the time. So I'll get patients in here all the time that they don't even know how to express emotionally. They don't even know what it's like to have a connected, authentic conversation with anyone. And we have to actually teach them that. I have to teach men in here how to turn that chatter off. And what I found is the only way that you can really identify what's going on with anybody emotionally or anything physically that they might have going on in their body is if you have it in yourself emotionally, you can identify it in somebody else. So I'm good at identifying these in people, obviously because I'm a doctor and I spent 10 years in school, but also because if I'm working on it myself, then I'm better at coaching some of these men and people through it, right? And it's not just men I'm talking about, but women are so much more connected to their emotions. And ladies, you guys are like shaking your heads. Yes, we are, right? And you guys innately kind of internally know how to do it. And even if that part of yourself is kind of shut off, you're more apt to access it than a man is. And so we have to coach people through this. We have to get them out of their head and into their heart. And we're able to do that. We're able to make the conscious decision to be in choice like we talked about last week, okay? So let's start thinking differently. Let's start working on our 49 breaths. And if you don't know what that is, you can access that in one of my earlier health hacks. I think it was in health hack number 1 through 5, okay? And let's start breathing into positive energy and positive affirmations. And that's how we're going to alter some of those subconscious stresses and really increase that telomere length, okay? So that's the health hack for today. God bless you. We've got another advanced healthcare class coming up, and that's going to be on February 12th. That's a Monday. It's at 7 o'clock p.m. So come one, come all. Share this video with somebody, okay? We never put a limit on how many people you can bring to the advanced healthcare class. We encourage more. More is always better, related to everything generally, right? And so we just want to bless people and bless the community, okay? The greatest gift of life is knowledge with action, okay? So the only way we can get that knowledge is by going places to get it and places to access it where we feel open to allow change to occur in our body, okay? And that definitely happens at the advanced healthcare class, okay? So we want to change your life. Call 760-385-8352. We want to bless you. We want to serve you. God bless you. Have a great evening. Take care.